SQLs for beginners in easy English. Get free PDF notes plus installation guide. Hi, I'm Samir sir, owner of Sam Computers Mumbai, India. Since 1985, in last 37 plus years, I have trained and placed thousands of students with international certifications, and I have provided software and hardware solutions to thousands of clients. In my journey of 37 years, I have passed some international certifications like Microsoft Certified Trainer, Microsoft Certified Technology Specialist, Microsoft Certified IT Professional, Microsoft Certified System Engineer, Microsoft Certified System Administrator, Microsoft Certified Database Administrator, and Cisco CCNA. For your any query, please subscribe this channel and ask your query in the comment, and I'll try to reply it soon. Thank you. What is SQL? A simple question. SQL stands for Structure Query Language. Many people pronounce it as a SQL, or some developers do refer it as a CQL. You can pronounce SQL or CQL. Both pronunciations are okay. No issue. Originally, SQL was developed as a part of the System R project by IBM during 1974. It's used to communicate with the database. Now, the standard language for RDBMS, it's a SQL. So RDBMS use SQL to communicate it with its database. Some of the common examples of RDBMS are Microsoft SQL Server, Oracle, IBM DB2, MySQL, SAP, HANA, likewise. SQL is made up of three sub-languages: DLM, DDL, and DCL. DDL, it stands for Data Definition Language. It's used to create, drop, tables, view, index, trigger, and so on. Similarly, DML stands for Data Manipulation Language. It's used for updating, inserting, and querying database. DCL stands for Database Control Language. It's used to define writes and concurrency controls. What's a data and database? A simple question. A data, any useful and related informations when we use it in any of the applications. For example, if you want to store some of the students' informations like students' details, marks, college name, professor's name, sales data, purchase data, stock inventory data, business cash and bank deposit, cash and bank withdrawals, tours information, travel information, railway booking, airline booking, medical information of patients, medicines, diseases, defense information, social media information, all those informations can be considered as a data. So, in short, any purpose related information is called as a data. Now, data can be stored in any of the format like text. Text means characters. It can be numbers. It can be alphanumeric. Alphanumeric means combinations of numbers and characters. It could be pictures, graph, music, audio, video, 2D, 3D animations, multimedia, encrypted, decrypted data, anything. So any of these combinations or single or multiple things can be called as a data, and it can be stored in these formats. So what is database? So when you want to store any of these above data into electronic formats or in the digital format, it can be stored into a database. Now, in order to create, save, retrieve those data, update data, modify data, delete data in computer, we need some specialized software or specialized program like DBMS or RDBMS. DBMS stands for Database Management Systems, whereas RDBMS stands for Relational Database Management Systems. The example of DBMS are Access, DBase, Foxbase, FoxPro. The example of RDBMS are MS SQL Server, Oracle, IBM DB2, SAP HANA, SQLite, MySQL, and so on. Database can be used in different industry for different purposes, like accounts. In accounts, we may keep a data for customer details, supplier details, cash and bank detail, all the transactions related to accounting. So those can be database for the accounts. Similarly, we can keep a database for stock inventory like item bought, item sold, item used for manufacturing, item rejected. All those things related informations for stock inventory can be used for stock inventory. Database for banking informations. For banking, we use the database for saving customer deposits of cash, deposits of check, cash withdrawal, FD, fixed deposits, mutual funds, and all those transactions done in banking example. Stock exchange. Stock exchange database can be stored as a investor database, shares, equity, mutual funds, currency, commodity, crypto, and all those informations related with the stock exchange database. Railway, airline, sea line booking. All the transactions which are used for booking railway tickets, air tickets, sea booking, cargo booking can be stored in these types of industries. Medical database can be used for saving data of patients' data, their problems, medicines details, all the informations related to medical industries, symptoms, and all those things can be saved in the medical database. Scientific data can be used for different purposes for science and all those purposes. Geographical data which used for the weather forecasting, GPS can be used for geographical database. Telecom industries, whenever we use telephones, call inputs, call outgoing, incoming, all these informations and customer details are stored in the telephone directories and all those things. Military database used for the military weapons and all those fields information related to military. So these are some of the database used in different industries. History of SQL. As I told you earlier, SQL was developed as a part of a project developed by Dr. Edward Codd, an IBM researcher in early 70s. Codd outlined a mathematical theory of how data can be stored and manipulated using tabular structure, like when we use Excel sheets or something like that. So it was the basic theory which was developed by Dr. Edward Codd. Some of the milestones and years in development of SQL. In 1970, Edward Codd defined relational database models. This research helped by IBM, and they found out and worked with 1974 IBM system R project begins. In 1979, Oracle introduced first commercial RDBMS, that's Oracle. Then in 1981, IBM announced IBM DB2, Database 2, RDBMS. In 1986, Sybase introduced RDBMS for transaction processing. In 1988, Microsoft joined their hands with Estante, a company who developed DBase at that time, and Sybase to create Sybase SQL Server for IBM Operating System 2. It was mainly used to compete with the Oracle and IBM. Later, Microsoft developed Microsoft SQL Server 6. It was coded in C language in 1995. In 1998, Microsoft developed SQL Server 7. It was majorly rewritten in C++. In 1998, Oracle 8i was developed. It was the first RDBMS with the internet integrations. In 2000, MS SQL Server 2000 was developed and released. In 2001, Oracle 9.9 database was introduced. And in 2022, Microsoft SQL Server versions 2014, 2016, 2017, 2019 are used as of now. Similarly, Oracle database versions of 18C, 19C and 21Cs are also used. IBM DB2 versions 9, 10 and 11 is also available. MySQL versions 8 is being used. So these are some of the milestone years. Let's understand the difference between SQL Server and SSMS. SQL Server is a database engine. It's developed by Microsoft In it provide the basic infrastructure to save database, table, index, store procedures, security tools, login policies, and so on. It's a main component where all the data are stored. On the other side, SSMS stands for SQL Server Management Studio. It's a tool. It helps you to connect with the different versions of SQL and instances, manage SQL database, tables, update, delete, backup, restore database using GUI, graphic user interface tool. SQL Server works in background as a service and usually referred as a backend. It performs functions such as managing database, memory, logs, threads, schedule tasks, and much more. On the other side, SSMS provides GUI interface, graphic interface, where you can click on query screen and you can fire query what you want SQL to do. It is used for configuring, managing, administrating all the components within SQL Server. SQL Server, when you work with any of the program in front end, whereas all the background, all the data, add, modify, delete, reporting is done from the SQL at the backend. So SQL Server works in a backend to store the data. In front end, we have got some graphic screen, application screen. SQL work in a backend. Whereas SSMS is a tool which is used to define, manage data on SQL, local server, and even Azure Web. We need to install SQL Server on a physical server, main server. The first we have to install SQL Server, and thereafter we can install multiple instances with a different named instance. Whereas SSMS can be installed on physical server, it can be installed on local connected PCs to manage the SQL component. So it is installed as a most important component or tool after we install SQL Server. SSMS is a tool to use and manage database. Okay, so let's begin. We want to download and install SQL Server 2017. So we are going to open Google Chrome, and in the Google Chrome type SQL Server 2017 download. Click on the first link, and here it will give you the language for which you want to download the things. Click on the download button. It will ask you where you want to save these setup files. Select appropriate folder where you want to save the SQL Server 2017 setup files. Same way, download SSMS download. SSMS stands for SQL Server Management Studio. Click on this link and same way download SSMS. Once everything is done, open the folder where you have downloaded the executable files. Select SQL Server 2017 folder and double click on it. It will ask the folder name where you want to save all these executable files. The file, click on the first new SQL Server standalone installations. Click I accept the license terms. Click next. Want to get the latest update from Microsoft, select this checkbox, otherwise click next. Click next again. Now and click on next. Install SQL Server. It gives you two choices. Do you want to use a default instance? This will be for very first time. Clicking on the next. Select these options. Click next. Right now I am selecting same only and clicking on the next. Continuing install. Click on the close. Close this. Next step is to install SSMS. Double click on SSMS setup. Click on install. Once SQL SSMS is installed, it will ask you to restart the PC. Click on the restart. That's it. First, data definition language, DDL. DDL is used to create table, like you can add a new table to the database, drop table which can be used to remove table from database, alter table which can be used to change the structure of the database, create view, you can create new views to the database, drop view, remove or delete views from the database, create index is used to build an index for particular column or columns, truck index is used to remove index from the column. So these are some of the commands which works as a DDL, data definition language. The second part stands for data manipulation language. It is used to select, retrieve data from the database, insert data to the database, delete rows to the database, update, modify database and table. So it's, as the word suggests, data manipulation. It's used to manipulate the data. The third is a DCL, data control language. It is used to grant users permissions and privilege, what users can do. Revoke is used to remove the access to privilege, what user cannot do. So those controls are coming under data control language. Next comes out transaction control language, TCL. Commit. When you want to do certain transactions in some steps, orderly steps, we issue a commit statement which end the current transactions. Rollback is used to abandon the current transactions, and set transaction define data access. Now these are some of the high language programming functions used to manipulate certain multiple data and tables in a program. This is out of the scope for this current course. Probably in advanced course we may talk about TCL and DCL in futures. When I talk about database is divided into two physical parts. Data files, which is having a file extension of MDF or NDF, and log file. As you all remember that when you save any file in Microsoft Notepad, the file extension is a TXT. Similarly, when you save any graph, it may have file extension of GIF or JPG or JPEG. When you save files in Microsoft Word, it is called file extension of DOC or DOCX. Similarly, when you save database in MS SQL Server, the data file will have file extension of MDF and next NDF. The default primary, the first file, will be saved with the .mdf file extension. It is stored in a system table. It can be used to store user table and indexes. On the other side, log file are saved with the extension of $LDF. At least one or many LDF file can be used. All data manipulations within SQL Server works in a memory within the sets of the buffer. Talking back about data and MDF file, the first primary data file will be having file extension of MDF. In order to save large volume of data beyond the capacity of hard disk, a secondary data file, which is optional, can be saved with the NDF file extension. This NDF can be stored in more than one disk. Now, MS SQL Server allows you to save one database on different hard disks, so that if you have got, let's say you have got 5 TB hard disk, 5 terabyte hard disk, and you have got data of 20 terabytes. So naturally you cannot save 20 terabyte data on 5 terabyte hard disk. So this can be saved using multiple hard disks, like 4 hard disks or 5 terabyte or 5 hard disks or 5 terabyte. So you can use this NDF and store single database on more than one disk. A one database can have up to 32,768 NDF files. So practically this is used for saving large volume of data by combining the space capacity of multiple hard disks. Coming back to log file, when you add any data to table, the new data is not written to the hard disk immediately. The data will get first written in a memory buffer. Then from memory buffer, it gets written to the transaction log file. And finally, after some time, it's written via background SQL process called as a checkpointing. Now this all works in a background. For a user, we don't have to go in detail as much. But for your basic understanding, a single database of MS SQL Server saved in a two different file component, data file which is saved with the file name and file extension of MDF and or NDF, and the log file will be saved with the file extension of .ldf files. I hope I have tried my level best to explain you the structure of database file structure. How database, table, row and column structure are linked. Suppose if I want to save some university database. So a university database, you may have some streams like for streams for engineering students. We may have some data for student table for commerce students. We may have some students table for art students. Similarly, we may have some students for medical students. So we may have different tables for medical students, engineering students, commerce students, art students. Similarly, there can be different course name students. There can be different tables for professors, faculty. All those things can be saved in the different tables. So database is divided into tables. This table is further divided like this. This is an example. Let's say if I am storing some data tables for engineering students. So this is an example of a table. Let's say marks. Now here we have stored 3 students informations. These are called as a rows or records. This name, course, marks 1, marks 2, marks 3, marks 4, total, percentage. These are column name or can be referred as a field name. This single is called a field, name 1 field, course field, marks 1 field, marks 2 field, marks 3 field, marks 4 field, total 1 field, percentage. When all these fields are combined together, it will make one row or it can be referred as a record. When you combine all these records, it will be called as a table. When you combine all these tables, it will be called as a database. It will store under database. Under database, we can store not only table, but we can also store many more things, which we are going to see in further. Let's create database in MS SQL Server. We can create database in 2 ways in MS SQL Server. One by TSQL command and second by using SSMS. I am into SSMS, Microsoft SQL Management Studio. When you start it, it will give you some screen like this way. As of now, there are no database, as you can see. There are some system database are there like master, model, MSDB and temporary, but which is not, I'm not going to explain it right now. So as of now, there is no database. I'm clicking on new query. So it will open a screen like this. Type the command create, let's say create database test data, where on name of the database is test db data, file name is equal to C colon test folder test db underscore data full stop, file extension is MDF, comma, size, initial file size is 100 MB, max file size is, it can go up to 1 GB, file growth that is 10 MB. I'll close the bracket. Similarly, log file, log on, I'll open the bracket again, name is equal to test db underscore log, file name is equal to where I want to save it. I want to save it in C drive, test db underscore log dot ldf. Initial file size is of 20 MB. Max size is equal to 1 GB. File growth is equal to 10 MB. Data. In order to execute it, click on this green button to execute it, or you can press function key F5. So I am clicking on execute buttons. So it shows me that command completed successfully and it has created. That means that the test data has been created. But if you see in the database table in this left panel, under the database, the name of the test data has not appeared. So what you need to do is you right click on the database and click on refresh button. Now as you can see that the test data database name has appeared. Right click on the test data and select the properties. In order to specify that whatever we have created is perfect as per our instructions, so I'm just showing you. Now it shows me that the test data, the name of the database is test data. Click on the files options. It shows you that the logical name of the first file is testdb underscore the data. This is a logical name. It's a primary file. The initial file size is 100 MB. It grow, that's a file grows automatically by 10 MB, and that's a limited up to 1024 MB. That means the file size can grow maximum up to 1 GB, that is 1024 MB. It is saved in a C:test folder. This is a path or folder positions name where it is saved. And this is the actual file, physical file name, testdb underscore data.md. So this is the file folder name. This is the actual file physical name. The next option of this is testdb underscore log. This is a log file name. File type is log. File growth, and the initial file size is 20 MB. It automatically grows by 10 MB, and again the maximum file size is restricted up to 1024 MB, that is 1 GB. It's saved in a C drive test folder, and this is the name of the log file, testdb underscore log file. MS table, let's say, is a nothing but a two-dimension database which stores informations in form of rows and columns. Just as similar to Excel spreadsheets when we save the data in form of rows and columns. Each row represents a unique record and each column represents data within that records. In addition to the SQL table and database can also save, in the database we can also save extra objects like views, index, store, procedure, trigger, etc. etc. But as of now, we are trying to concentrate our intentions on the tables. Now, the most important part in table is columns. In SQL Server, tables are defined by columns. That means columns will specify what information it is storing. Each column in the tables are designed to store certain type of informations which is known as a data type. So when we design a table, each table will have at least three informations. That's a column name. The column name will specify what type of information it is storing. Second is data type. I'm going to explain the data type in a very short time. The next slides, it defines type of the data or information that a particular column can hold. And the very third important most thing is data length. that will specify what will be the length or the range of the data that column can hold. So let's understand the basic data type in MS SQL. In MS SQL, there are various types of data, but these are some of the most common data type which we are going to use. The very first one is a numeric data type. Numeric data type is further subdivided into number one, tiny int. If you define any column as a tiny int, it can store only whole number, that is without decimal, from 0 to 255. This can be used for storing some informations like marks, where each subject's mark cannot exceed beyond 0 to 100. So something like marks of subjects can be used with the tiny int field. Second numeric data type is small int. It allows you to store a number from minus 32,768 to plus 32,767. So this is the range. If you want to store any numeric number without decimal from minus 32,768 to plus 32,767, then you can use small int. If you want to use still larger volume of the data, you can use int. Int allows you to store numbers between a very big number. It's a 2 billion numbers, minus 214,74,83,648 to plus 2,143,000,000 and 483,000, something a big numbers without decimals. And if you want to specify with the decimal, then you can specify a numeric field called decimal, where you have to specify the width and the decimal numbers for that. So these are some of the commonly used numeric data type. Now if you want to store data along with characters, then we can say character data types. The very first one is char, and inside it we have to specify the number. That means if you want to say, let's say name, so you can specify first name is used as a character, and you can specify the n specify. That means you can specify 40 characters. So if you define any column with the character data types, it takes a fixed width of the character data, and maximum width it can go up to 8,000 character. Whereas if you define any column with varchar, it takes variable width data up to 8,000 character. Now the difference between char and varchar, char will take fixed width. So even if you have used out of 8,000 character, if you have used only 10 character, but it reserves 8,000 character width for that particular column, but varchar will take only the number of characters used. Next is a text. This will help you to store in a particular column a very large volume of data, character data. Character data can include character, that's an alphabet, and number also, and special character also, up to 2 gigabytes of text. And if you want to store something which other than characters and alphabets, some special Unicode character, if you are storing informations for other languages, like if you want to use Hindi language or some other Chinese language and other things, so those characters will take informations in form of Unicode. So you have to store data in form of nvarchar Unicode field. The third type of data is temporal, which is used to store date and time data type. If you take any column and specify the date field, you can store date from 1st January 0001 and you can go up to 31st December 9999. So I hope this is a very big number where you can save the informations. And also if you want to save date along with the time, so you can select a field from date time. So you can store date from 1/1/1753 up to 31st/12/9999 along with the time in hour, minute, second and millisecond formats. There are some other miscellaneous data type called as XML, unified identifier, cursor, bit. However, this is not within the scope of the course. Okay, now it's time to create the table. Now once you have created a database, we can create table under it. So we can create table using two methods. First is by using TSQL command and second is by using SSMS directly using design mode. First we have to define under which database we want to create the table. So we'll say use database. This is a command. It will select the database. There can be many databases in a SQL server. So we'll select the database name under which we are going to create the table. Then we'll give command create table in the table name. We'll have to design what will be the column name, what will be its data type, what will be default value, whether it will be accepting the null value or whether it will have primary key. Similarly, second column name, data type, default value, third column name, data type, default value, so on and so forth. It will continue like this. So you can write down this example and we'll see all this example in live SQL things. You can take the snapshot of this, you can take the printout and we'll create this thing on SQL. So when you start SQL, it gives you a blank screen like this way. First click a new query. It will give you a blank screen like this way. Now, as I want to create a table under test data, I'll say use test data. And this is the syntax of creating mark table. Now let's understand each and every term. So we have written create table mark. Now first column name is student's roll number. It will be small int number. Now as a roll number cannot be blank, so I'm saying not null, and it will be a primary key. Primary key means a roll number of a students will not get repeated. Second, I'm using first name. I'm using a VMWARE data type, and the length or the width of the first name can go up to 25 character long. It will also be not null. Next would be last name. Last name will be VMWARE 25 character, not null. Next would be course name. Course VMWARE 10. Then there are 4 subject marks. Marks 1, I'm using small int. I can take int also, tiny int also, but I'm using small int because MS SQL creates some issues when you are totaling all the tiny int, when you are totaling into total marks. As the value of the total marks we go beyond 255, it is not accepting tiny int. So though I can use tiny int for storing marks of individual subject, because marks will not go beyond 0 to 255, but in totaling it's creating some issues, so that's why I'm selected it as a small int. Next field will be percentage decimal 5,2, that will include a decimal value. Default is 0. Second last will be status. Status can have content like pass or fail, and lastly would be grade. That will be distinction, first class, pass, second class, and pass class. Once you have typed these commands, press function key F5 or click this execute button. So it says the command completed successfully. That means that we have created our first table name mark. If I expand this test data and under table, it should show me the name of the marks, but it's not showing. So what you do, select the table and right click and click a refresh button on that. And now as you can see, the DBO mark that stands for database object mark is created by this command. If you want to expand it, right click on it, and if you see the design part, whatever structure we have just given, that the student's roll number, small int, first name, last name, course, marks 1, marks 2, marks 3, mark 4, total mark, percentage, status and grade, the total structure for this marks table is being created using create table command. So I hope you understood the concept of creating the table. Table constraint. Table constraints are something like a sets of rules that can be applied to various columns and tables. There are many constraints that can be applied on tables. They are primary key, foreign key, unique, default, index, not null, and so on. Primary key. Primary key is used to restrict the data for particular column, where value must be unique for that row. That means value must be different from each row. There cannot be same values for different row. For example, in a school or in college, roll number of the students cannot be same for another role. Same as bank account number cannot have same bank account number for 2 customers. Passport number of a country person cannot be same for two different people. Invoice number for one company cannot be same for the different invoice number. Second is a foreign key, is also known as F key. It helps to set relationship between two tables like parents and child. Before parent, child cannot present. So once you want to do a transaction with bank, first of all you have to open accounts with bank, which is can be referred as a master table, or it can be called as a primary key, or can be referred as a parent. And then once a parent is present, that means primary key and record is present, it can be linked with the transaction record, where customer code can be linked with the foreign key like a child. Next is a unique. Unique key is same as a primary key, but the only difference is in primary key you cannot save a null value. That means you cannot have a blank. Blank means not, it's null. Whereas in unique field, if you define a column with unique, you can save a null value, but that can only be saved at a one time only. Next will be default. Default constraint is used to save some default value for a column. When no value is specified or entered by a user, the SQL will store default value into that column. Next is a index. Index is used to provide faster access to search data. It is stored as a separate structure, and it is used to access or search data quickly. Index can be created on single column, or it can be created on multiple columns. And last would be not null. Not null means if you define a column with not null, that means person must enter some value for it. It cannot have blank, or it must have some value for that. This is a table structure. If you want to create this sales table using TSQL command, here is a command which you can write it down or take a snapshot of these slides. I will be showing you how to create these sales tables using SSMS right now. So in SQL, you select the database and expand the test data. In a table, right click and click new table. So it will give you a field something like this. It will ask you column name, data type, allow null, and all those stuff. So the first column name, I'm going to write it out as a invoice number. Here I want it integer, and I don't want it as a null, so I'm clearing these things. Next is invoice underscore date. The data type for this would be date. I don't want to allow null, so I'll remove this. Next is a party name, and I want this as a varchar. You can give it 40 or 50, whatever you want for your particular customer name. I'm using this as a not null. Next would be item DESCR, item description varchar. Again, I'm using it as a 40. I'm removing not null. Next would be item rate. Item rate would be integer. Next would be quantity, integer, and here if you want, the rate should be default 0, so default value in this field you just go and enter 0. Similarly for quantity, default value will go and save it as a 0. Next would be amount, amount, amount. You define it as a money. Again, default would be 0. This amount will be rate multiplied by quantity. Next is a discount. money, default would be 0. Similarly, next would be GST underscore text underscore percentage. This will be small int, default would be 0. GST underscore text underscore amount, this will be money, default would be 0. Next would be packing, charges, this will be again money, default would be 0. And finally would be net net amount, or whatever way you want net amount, that will be money. If you want this to be in full form, you can use net amount like this way, and default will be 0. So invoice number will be integer value, and if you want these invoice numbers to be defined as a primary key, right click and select set this as a primary key. So here if you see a small symbol of key will come. So this invoice number for this table will be unique. It will be a particular number, will not be repeated in any of these row. Once you have closed this, once you have created this table, close these things. It will ask changes to the following item. So say yes. It will ask you name of the table. So here I am typing the name of a table is the sales. Finish this. Now in test data I have created two tables. So right click and expand using this plus key. So we have created one mark table and we have created sales table. If you want to go through this, right click, and if you see design, it will show me the structure just we have created. Close it. Insert command, that is add data in MS SQL. In order to insert data in table, we use insert statements. The syntax for it is a use database name and then insert table name, that is a name in table in which you want to store the data, column name and values. Let's say this is the example. You can take down the screenshot of this and take a printout of this, and we'll see this command directly in SQL. Click on new query. Right, use test data. That's the name of the database in which you want to store records. Next will be insert mark. That's a mark table. Now which column we want to insert? Student's roll number, first name, last name, course, marks 1 field, marks 2 field, marks 3 field, mark 4 field. These are the name of the columns in which you want to insert the data. Now what values you want to insert? 1001. This will be stored in a student's roll number. Similarly, Sheetal will be stored in a first name. If it's a numeric field, then you can give it straight as it is. But if you want to store anything in character or nvarchar or varchar, you have to use single quotes. Similarly, Patel will be stored in a last name. BTech will be stored in a course field. 90 will be stored in mark 1, 80 will be stored in mark 2, 80 will be stored in mark 3, and this again 90 will be stored in a marks 4 field. Select this command and press function key F5 or click execute button. It's a one record affected. Now likewise, you can copy it and make necessary changes in this data. Let's say the second student's name would be Rusty. Make certain changes in the marks. 85, 85, 80, 90. Select this thing and click again function key F5 or this. Again press Ctrl C to copy paste earlier command. Make necessary modifications in the third column. Next, let's say Samir. Next will be Kumar. let's say 85, 85, 80, 80. Select this command and click function KFR or click on execute button. Likewise, add around 10 to 15 records with a different students name and different students mark in this. Finally, if you want to see whether we have entered data has been stored in the mark table or no, so say select star from mark. Select this command and press function key F5. So as you can see, the name of the students and 3 records has been saved. There is another way also you can make a modification. You can select database, select test data, select table name, that will be mark table, right click it and click on edit top 200 rows. Here you can make modifications like this. You can also add new record also 1004 Sachin Tendulkar MCOM, let's say 75, 85, 36, 85, 90. Likewise. Finally, close it. And if you see, select star from marks again. Now there are 4 records. So this is the way how you can insert and add new data into MS SQL table. Okay, so now once you have saved the data into marks table, let's same way insert and add data into sales table. Click new query and write use test data. This will be the name of the database and insert sales. This is the name of the table, invoice number, invoice date, party name, item description, rate, quantity and GST amount. I'm trying to explain you. So what will happen? This 1001 will go into invoice number column, 2022 will 1001. This will be going into invoice date. Virat Kohli will be saved into party name column. iPad Pro will be saved into item description field. 1,10,000 will be saved into rate field. 2 will be saved in the quantity and 18 will be saved into GST tax percent. Select this query and click on execute it. So it will show me 1 record affected. That means 1 record is saved. What you can do, you select copy it and copy this query and paste it using Ctrl V and make necessary changes directly over here. So let's say here I am trying to save it into some another date. Let's say there is 05th name and instead of Virat Kohli I am saying Rohit Sharma. Instead of iPad Pro I can say anything, Samsung Z Fold 4. Rate for this is a 1,05,000 and 2 quantity 18%. Select this query, press function key F5 or execute button. Again similarly paste it. Next will be 1003. This will be, let's take another date, 6th date. You can save it Amitabh Bachchan. Apple Watch Series 7. The rate is around, let's say, consider it as a 40,000. Quantity in which I am going to save 5. Home. Select function key F5. Likewise, save multiple records into sales table 1004 say 7 number key Rohit Shetty, whatever value, whatever data you want, save it, execute. Now as you have seen, we have saved 4 records using insert command. To see whether all the 4 records are saved into, select star from sales and click function key F5. So it will show me invoice number, invoice date, party name, item description, rate, quantity. But if you watch carefully, amount and discount field, it's not showing any value. Similarly, GST tax amount, packing charges and net amount, it's not showing any value. If you see carefully into Rohit Sharma, that's the invoice number 1002, item description in Samsung Z Fold 4. But if you see rate carefully, it is not 1,05,000. It is stored as a 10,50,000. So I want to change this. Using update statement, I can change it likewise. Type update. Now what table I want to change? I want to change the table sales. So I'll say update sales. Set. Now what column I need to change? I want to change rate field. Rate is equal to. So I want to change rate, instead of 10,50,000, I want 1,05,000. So this is 1,05,000. Now do you want these 1,05,000 for all these row or only for particular invoice number? So I want only for invoice number 1002. So I'll write a command like where invoice number is equal to 102. Select this query and click function key F5. So it says one record affected. Just to check it out whether statement is executed and given as the right result or no, I'll say select star from sales. Press F5 and now if you see, as we have given update sales, the tail table, the rate column name has been changed. Instead of 10,50,000, now the rate has been modified to 1,05,000 for invoice number 10. So as explained, let's understand how to use the update statement for multiple record changes. So when we give select star from sales table, what it shows me all the records. Invoice number, invoice date, party name, item description, rate, quantity, amount, discount, GST tax percent, GST tax amount, packing charge and net amount. If you watch it carefully, the amount field and discount field showing as a 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, all the 0. Similarly, for GST tax amount, packing charge and net amount, it is showing me all the field with the 0. There is no value. We have entered data only for particular columns, not for amount, discount, GST tax amount, packing charge and net amount. For Amitabh Bachchan, 40,000 multiplied by 5. So in the amount field, it should give me 40,000 into 5. It should save 2 lakh rupees. Similarly, we can offer, let's say our business is offering 5% for discount if a customer buy anything about 2 lakh rupees. So let's say if you have got this business logic, if a customer buy anything about 2 lakh, we give 5% discount. Same way, GST tax amount will be amount minus discount, and finally on the final figure, it should calculate 18% or whatever tax percentage we have entered over here. It should calculate and save GST tax amount into this column. Let's say we are charging 2% packing charges. There can be multiple charges, there can be multiple discount, there can be multiple logic like packing charge, forwarding charges, courier charges and whatever and so on and so forth. And finally the net amount field should be amount minus discount plus GST tax amount plus packing charges. So this should be saved into net amount. Type use test data. Press F5. Now update sales. Now before update, let's see whether our records are blank or not. So select star from sales. Now once I'll execute about to query, so as you can see, amount field, discount field, GST tax amount, packing charge and net amounts are not saved. It's not showing any value. So we want to calculate it. So let's say update sales. So we want to update sales table. Set amount is equal to, what will be the amount? Rate multiply by quantity. We can execute query one after another, or we can type all the query and can select all the query in one shot and can execute it on one time also. So I'll do that part. Update sales, set discount is equal to amount into 5 divided by 100. Now we have got some logic. So where amount is greater than 2 lakh rupees. Okay, fine. Next command will be update sales, set GST tax amount, GST tax amount is equal to, in the round bracket, amount minus discount multiply by GST tax percentage divided by 100. Next is update sales, set packing charges is equal to, again, amount minus discount multiply by 2 divided by 100, and final statement will be update sales, set net amount is equal to amount minus discount plus GST tax amount plus packing charges. Now what you do, select all these 5 query and click execute button or press function key F5. So it shows me so many records are affected, so many records are affected. Let's see the result of it. So now I'll give select star from sales. And click on execute button. So now after giving this above 5 statement, if you can see, for all the invoice number, now it has automatically calculated this amount field. So this amount field will be 1,10,000 into 2, so 2,20,000. 1,05,000 into 2, 2,10,000. 40,000 into 5, 2 lakh rupees. 1,10,000 into 5, 5,50,000. Similarly, discount, it has calculated and given for the customer who has got something sales amount more than 2 lakh rupees. Similarly, it has calculated GST tax amount, packing charge of 2% is calculated, and finally the net amount has automatically calculated using this. Now as we have calculated update statement for sales table, now let's understand the business logic for mark table also. So once I give select star from mark, it gives me student roll number, first name, last name, course name, marks 1, 2, 3, 4, total mark, percentage, status and grade. Similarly, in sales, like we could not get the direct calculations, here also there is no results for total mark, percentage, status and grade. It's not showing me any value. So what will be the logic for total mark? The logic for total mark will be sum of all 4 subject mark, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the total mark formula will be sum of all these 4 marks. What will be the logic for percentage? Percentage will be total mark divided by 4. So that should give me percentage. Now what will be the logic for status? Status can have either pass if students get 35 or more in all the subject, that is all the 4 subjects. If students get 35 or more, then person is called as a pass, or otherwise status will be considered as a fail. And finally, logic for grade will be if a person get distinction when the percentage is greater than equal to 75. If students get percentage between 60 and 75, it can be called as a first class. For second class, the percentage should be between 45 and 60. And finally, if the students get marks greater than equal to 35%, but if it is less than 45, this will be the 4 logical conditions will be there for the grade. So let's understand how to give the logic for marks table. So marks table, the first statement will be update mark, because we want to update now mark table instead of sales table. Now we'll give them update mark. Now what we want to calculate total marks. So see, set total mark is equal to, so what will be total mark? It will be marks 1 plus marks 2 plus marks 3 plus mark 4. So once you give these command, computer MS SQL should calculate total marks for all the students. Let it be 3 record, let it be 3000, let it will be millions of records. Automatically it will calculate total mark for all the students, and it will post and store it into total mark field. Similarly, for percentage, the formula will be update mark, set percentage is equal to total mark divided by 4. Now this seems easy for you. Now what I want you to do, I want to write you the formula for status and grade. I want you to try and give update command for status and grade. Please reply it in a comment, whatever is your command. If it is a right or wrong, I'll reply all the answer in the comment. Finally, to check the result, whatever we have updated it, finally, you can say select star from marks. Just to see what is the content of the marks table, we'll say select star from mark, press function key F5. It gives me all the results. Now the total mark, percentage and status and grade, it is nothing is stored into this. So let's give the update statement for total mark. So we'll say update, the name of the table is mark. We want to calculate the total mark field. So we'll say set total mark is equal to, the formula is mark 1 plus mark 2 plus marks 3 plus mark 4. Select the formula and press F5 or click on execute button. Fine. It has not given any error. So now we'll update the next command. Update mark, set percentage is equal to total marks divided by 4. If you want, you can select all the query, you can write all the query in one shot and select it, and can execute all the query in one shot like this way. Let's see the result of it. So we'll say select again star from mark, press function key F5, and now as you can see, SQL has calculated a total mark and percentage. Okay, so select command is the next steps. Select is the frequently used query statement in SQL. It's used to retrieve or display data from table. See, whenever users require some management information system report like MIS reports, they need some informations like give me the sum of this, give me the transactions for this party or this particular country or some conditions. So we use select commands in SQL. The syntax of select command is select distinct top number, column name 1, 2, 3, 4, XYZ, or either if you don't want to use a column name, you can use a star from table name, where condition 1, condition 2, condition 3. If there are more than one conditions, either use and or use or in between two conditions. In order to know the different conditions and how to use and or and other operators, there is a separate videos in a YouTube where I'll be discussing more about 101 SQL query in detail. Go to that video. The link I'm attaching in the descriptions. Next syntax is order by column name. Either use word ASC, this is used for the short abbreviation for ascending, or you can use DEAC, which is stands for descending order. So these are some of the example. Let's see the example of this in a SQL. In a SQL, click on the new query. Now let's see. First is use test data. This is the name of the data. press function key F5. Now whenever we want to select all the columns, so when we say select star from mark, when I select this query and execute it, it gives me all these columns from this table. There might be n number of rows. Here it is showing you that from the marks table there are 5 records. It is showing me the columns like student's roll number, first name, last name, course name, marks 1, marks 2, marks 3, mark 4, total mark, percentage, status and grade. It's giving me all columns on the screen. If you want to display only selected column, so you can give command like select, let's say student, roll number, comma, first name, comma, let's say mark 1, comma, mark 2, comma, mark 3, comma, mark 4, comma, total mark from table name, mark table. Select the query and press function key F5 or F. Now in this command, if you can see that it has given me only selected columns. So likewise you can specify which column you want to display. Similarly, when I say select star from sales, it will display all columns from sales table. Like earlier example, if you want to display only selected column, so you can say select invoice number, comma, party underscore name, comma, let's say net amount. You can say item description also, item description also, comma, net amount from sales. Select the query and press F5 or execute button. So now this command has given me only 4 columns: invoice number, party name, item description and net amount. Let's see other parameter of the select commands. Now select command with where parameter, where clause. Now whenever you give select star from sales or select star from mark, it gives me all records from that table. Now even sometimes there is possible that you want to restrict the data, you want to get some limited amount of the data. So at that time you need to use a where clause. Where clause is used to restrict the data in order to filter it. Now the syntax for select with the where clause is select column names 1, 2, 3 column from table name, where condition 1, condition 2. When there are more than one condition, you have to use and or. In short, if I want to discuss about and, if there are 2 conditions and if you use and in between that, the result it will display when the output of both the conditions is true. Wherever when we use or between 2 conditions, the results will be true even if the single condition is true. That means if the first condition and second conditions are true, it will give the output. First condition is true but second is false, it will give the output. First one is false but second one is true, it will give the output. And when both false, it will restrict it. If you want to know more details of using of and or, go to the next video, that's a 101 SQL query. I have attached this link in your descriptions. Now the example for this will be, you can write down the example. Let's see those example in a SQL statement. So we'll go to here in SQL. Let's say when I say select, you have seen the select command, select star from mark. This query we have used multiple times. I'm showing it once again. When I give this single query, it gives me all the record. Now we want to restrict the data. So let's say select star from mark, where let's say I want to give total mark greater than 350. Now as you can see, if I select this query and if I click execute button, there is no records which has got more than 350. Let's reduce it to, let's say, 320 marks. Select this query and press F5. So now it has given me the 4 records which has got marks greater than 320. Similarly, if I say I want total mark, let's say this query, I'll write it out, less than 300. Now if I write these queries, it will give me only one record, which is total marks of less than 290. Similarly, let's try this select where statement on sales table. When I say select star from sales, it gives me all the rows. See, it's giving me all the rows. Let's say I'll say select star from sales where net amount is greater than, let's say, 4 lakh rupees. So it has given me only one record where the sales is above 4 lakh rupees. Net amount is greater than 4 lakh. Similarly, if I'll say select star from sales where net amount is less than 4 lakh. Let's say if I'll give this query, so what it will do? It will give me only those results where the net amount is less than 4 lakh rupees. If you want to try the where condition on character or where fields, you have to use single quotes. So let's say if I want to select star from sales where I want a sales record only for particular party. Let's say if I say where party name is equal to VIRAT. So when I type these commands, select star from sales where party name is equal to Virat, it's not giving me any answer. Why it is so? So let's understand it in detail. When I say select star from sales, the name of the Virat Kohli is written with a combination of capital and small letter. So if we write like this way, it will not give me the answer. So we should write name like Virat . Now let's try execute it. Now it has given me the answer because it will try to combine capital and small letter in combination of search. To know more about these different operators in a select command, go to the next video, which is 101 SQL query. Coming back to next parameter in SQL, that is select with the order by parameters. Now, select query with the order by clause is used to arrange data into some ascending or descending order. See, when you want to retrieve the data from any database, sometimes you want to arrange data in an orderly format of some numbers or some date, like party wise, item wise, and different wise. For example, if you attach name of the students in a roll number on the school tables, you want to display those numbers in a ascending order or descending order of the marks. So the syntax will be select column name 1, 2, 3 or different columns, or you can use star from the table name, order by column name. Now there are two words, ASC, which is the abbreviation of ascending order. Ascending order will display the minimum number in a first and the maximum number will come at the last. Whereas if you want to arrange data into descending order, you use word DESC, which stands for short abbreviation of descending orders. For example, you can write down this command and let's see this command in a live example. So when I say select star from sales, let's say from mark, it has given me all the informations in an order in which we have entered the data. Now if you go to the total marks are not arranged in any order. So if I'll write the command like this, select star from mark, order by total mark, ASC. ASC word is a optional. If you don't write, it will arrange into ascending order only. Now if you see, the minimum marks will be displayed in a first row. Next, 330 marks, next 330, next 340, next 350. This is arranged in ascending order. If you want to display the maximum mark, who has got the maximum mark on the top of the list, then you have to change the sequence like this. Select star from mark, order by total mark, DESC. If I give DESC word, and when you click the execute button, the name of the students who has got maximum mark will appear on top. So this will arrange data into descending order. These parameter is extremely useful from the table when you want to arrange data into party wise, item wise, marks wise, net amount wise, orderly, any orderly sequence. For example, if I say select star from sales, this has given me output in the order in which we have entered the data. Now if I say select star from sales, order by net amount, ASC, ascending order. So here the minimum net amount will come on the top and the maximum net amount will come on the bottom. If you want it into different descending order, just change the word to select star from sales, order by net amount, DESC, descending. Here the maximum net amount will appear on top and minimum net amount will appear at the bottom. I hope you have got the usage of the order by sequence. Continuation with the select. Now select command with the top close in SQL statement. Now sometimes you don't want to get all the records from the table. You want to limit the output result to only limited number. Let's say you want to get top 1 or top 3 or top 5 rows or top certain 5% of the rows for the result value. So in that case, we can use the top close with the select command. You can write down the example. We'll see the example in a live SQL. Okay, so we'll say let's say select star from mark. It gives me answer like this way. Yes, normal. Now if I want to get only limited number of students name who has got top, let's say if I want to select out of 1,000 students or millions of students, I want to select only first 2 or 3 students. So I'll say select top 2 star, select top 2 star from mark, order by total mark, ASC. When I give this, it will give me 2 students, but if you see carefully, this is not the maximum marks. It has given me answer into ascending order. That means it has given me the last 2 students name. Instead of this, if I want the top 2 or top 2 student name, so we'll write select top 2 star from mark, order by total mark, DESC. Now let's select both the result in a one shot and execute it. The first result set is for this order by total mark in ascending order. This has given me the name of the students who has got minimum marks. Ascending order will arrange the data into ascending, where minimum number will come on top and maximum number will come in bottom. Whereas the second example when you use, here it has given me name of the students who has got maximum marks. So 350 is the maximum mark, 340 is the second best. Whereas here it gives me answer in ascending order, DESC will give answer in descending order. Similarly, if I want to see, select top 2 star from sales, order by net amount, ASC, and immediately select top 2 star from top 2 star from sales, order by net amount, DSC. Let me select these both the query and press execute button. It has given me 2 output. The first statement ascending order, it will give me the net amount, the minimum net amount as a first record, and this is the second lowest net amount. whereas in second the maximum net amount, the sales with the maximum figure will come on the top, and then this is a second maximum figure. So I hope you have understood the usage of top in a SQL statement. Let's proceed to the next parameter. Select with a distinct. Now distinct statement, distinct part with the select command is used to give only distinct value. It does not give the usage of those rows which has got same value. For example, when I say select item description for sales, it will give me all the items descriptions, all items, irrespective whether they are used or no. That same item name, if it is there in multiple times, it will give me multiple output. Whereas if I give select distinct item description for sales, it will give me only those item only once. The name of the things will come only once. Let's see live param example in a SQL. So if I say select star from, let's say select instead of star item description from sales. Let me show you this output first. Now here it is giving me 4 items: iPad Pro, Samsung Z, Apple Watch Series 2. Now if you see, iPad Pro is used multiple times, so they are showing me multiple records. If I say select item description from sales, and you want only distinct, so I'll say DISTINCT, distinct item description for sales. Let's see, let's select both the command together and execute it. In the first example, it is giving me item of the names iPad Pro twice, whereas in second it is giving me only 3 item names. These are the distinct item. So distinct is used to remove out the same value. It gives only distinct informations from the result sets. Now next statement is inserting data from table using select into. Sometimes you want to get the backup of one table by inserting the all data from one table to different tables. So you can use a select into statement. The syntax is select column list into new table name from existing table name. If there is some conditions, you can use a where condition. For example, select star into new sales from sales. What it will do, it will create new sales, new table from the sales table. All the records from sales will be transferred into new sales. And if you want to transfer only selected column, you can use example like this: select column name 1, column name 2, column name 3 from sales, like this way. Let's take the example like this. Here the example is select star into new sales from sales. Before executing, I am showing you in the test database table. When you expand it, there are only 2 tables, mark and sales. These are only 2 tables in a test data. Once I execute this query, it will copy all the 4 rows into another table. Still the name has not appeared. No problem. Right click and refresh it. Now there are 3 tables, sales and new sales. Similarly, I'll write select invoice underscore number comma party underscore name into temp sales from sales. Once I'll execute this query, it will create another table. Select table, right click and click refresh. Now there are 4 tables. Just if you want to confirm it, so when you say select star from sales and select star from new sales and again select star from temp cells. Let's say I'm selecting all these 3 query and executing it in one shot. Now the first table is the output of the sales data, sales table. Now second table new sales, and the first table sales and new sales, both the table are having all records. So what this command will do, this command will create duplicate data from one table. It copies all the data into it, insert all the data into another table. Whereas in third it is copied, it is inserted only 2 columns, only invoice number and party name columns are there into temp cells. So I hope you have understood the usage of inserting data from one table to another table using select into statement table. Sometimes it is also necessary that we need to delete one or multiple rows in a table. So for that we use delete statement command. Syntax is delete from table name where conditions. For example, delete marks where name is equal to Paresh. Select sales where invoice number is equal to 1004 or something like this. Delete new sales. So let's see the example in a live. Say select star from mark. Execute. Now these are 5 students. Now let's suppose if I want to delete the 5th record. So I'll say delete mark where name, where first name is equal to Paresh, Paresh. Once I select it and execute it, it's a one row affected. So now when I say select star from mark, remember that previously it was showing 5 records. Now it will show me only 4 records because it has deleted the rows where the name was Paresh. Similarly, if I say select star from sales, let's say there are 4 records and I want to delete invoice number 104. So I can say delete sales where invoice number is equal to 104. Once I execute it, just remember that before executing this command there are 4 records. After executing it, it has deleted 1 record and now only 3 record will be there. Select star from sales. Now there are only 3 records. Similarly, if you want to delete all the records, it is very dangerous record, so use it carefully. When you say select star from new sales, there are 4 records. If I just give delete new sales, it will delete all the row, only structure will remain. Select star from new sales. After executing delete new sales, only structure has remained, whereas all the records it has deleted. So I hope you understood the MS SQL, Microsoft SQL Server in basic beginners terms.